Well, bonjour, bonjour all. I thought I'd let that just keep on playing so you could hear it. It is Sunday, December 7th, 2025, and a year ago today, this beauty reopened. It's rather fitting that it's raining and very windy today, just like it was last year. But I'm out here and I wanted to bring you an update on what has happened in the last year and what is coming up and give you a little walk around. There's been some things that have been redone on the outside. Of course, the roof with the spires finished and the statues have returned. But I thought I'd come down. The sun just rose. It's just a little like 8:31 right now. And Mass is starting. So that was the call to Mass bells. And so it is Sunday and it's a busy day, of course. If you're coming to Paris and you want to come visit Notre Dame, if you can, avoid the weekends. It's been very quiet this week since Thanksgiving week is over. And I was in here Tuesday morning to do some research and it was lovely and pretty quiet. But yesterday I was walking by here with the client when I was giving him a tour of the islands, and crazy. So it was very busy. And today there's a pretty long line to get in. It's moving, but there you go. So I wanted to give you a little update. And so because it opened a year ago today, can you believe it? When I walked up here and the bells literally started ringing as I walked up, I just thought I would just pause and not only get that for you, but also listen to it myself. And it just made me so happy to think that it was a year ago today that after, five years and some change, months of waiting for it to reopen, it finally reopened. And I'll never forget coming in here that first time on the night of the 9th. So it was amazing. But there's been a few things. Of course, now you could go up the towers. So those opened September 20th, and now you could walk all the way up there. They say they've already had 45,000 people do that since September, so in just under a few months. And it's really great, actually. They're timing it. It's not crowded at all, and they have it very well timed out. They're not overselling the tickets. And so when you go, there's never really a big long line. And I'll show you where you line up if you're coming here to do that. You definitely do need to book a ticket in advance for that. They say that there's no tour tickets on site, so you definitely want to book that in advance. But every time that I have looked, it's wide open, and they sell tickets 2 months out. At least that's what it was doing when I looked at it a few weeks ago. So that's a really great thing to do. There's quite a few landings on the way up that you could stop, and they've put some stuff about the history in there and the history of the construction. And you have this amazing, largest double helix staircase in the world that was built inside there. You go up now the South Tower and you come down the North Tower when it used to be the opposite. So it's pretty fantastic. One thing to note though, especially if you're a photographer, if you go to the very top, you have about 5 minutes and then they push you along. So they have you come down, which is, nice that it's not super crowded. But, I've had photography friends go up there and want to go up there and get a bunch of pictures of the city. And, they shoo you along after a few minutes. We have some people doing some TikTok dances or something over here. But another thing, something that they're going to do while we're out here is they're in the process of redoing the whole parve here. And so you can see where actually work is starting over here. That went up about 2 months ago. And they are going to eventually tear this whole thing up back here and build a huge welcome center underneath and plant about 150 trees around here. So that's going to be something you're going to do. That's going to be between now and 2029. So what feels like so far away, I could hear singing coming from inside the church. Walk a little closer so you could hear it. And so that's going to be a huge project. So, the bleachers are still here behind. Nobody's sitting on the wet bleachers today. The bleachers are still here, but at some point those will also go in the next, I'm sure, year. I was wondering where those officers were heading. I was here one day, and just as I was about ready to go in, they closed the door because somebody had left a piece of luggage, and they were worried, that it was a unattended piece of luggage, and they closed the church down for about an hour. And then everything was open and it was just fine. But I think one of the most exciting things that's happened, and I think it was in the summertime, was the return, and hopefully it's not covered up, the return of the Pont Zero. They changed the path, walking path. There it is. So we have the Pont Zero right here. And they replaced the medallion. It's not the original medallion, but if you know, this is where all the roads of France are measured from. It's pretty amazing. My grandparents, I have pictures of my grandparents taking pictures of my grandpa standing here. It's just like I love to do. And so that was the most, I think one of the most exciting things was when that finally returned here. There is some sort of a lot of police officers at the exit. But they look like they're all leaving now, so I'm sure everything's fine. So you can see right there where those people are, just to the right edge of the cathedral. That is where you go up above, to go all the way up to the top of the tower. It's very wet today. So what they are in now, which started in the summer, was phase 3. And phase 3 is kind of essentially phase 1 of what would have happened. Sorry about the umbrella. Phase 1 that would have happened had there not been the fire. So phase 3 was originally in 2019. They were going to restore the spire and then do a bunch of work on the buttresses here and on the sides. And then of course the fire happened. So everything was, pushed to the side. And so in the summer is when they started phase 3. And so phase 3 is, and some of it's already going on right now. And so they have, they're doing, most of the work is on the back, and that's where they're doing the buttresses and the walls of the apse, but they're going to also do the rose windows. So the west rose window here on the facade, none of the windows were damaged in the fire, but the west rose window up here was damaged in June when we had the hailstorm. And that was the craziest hailstorm I had ever been a part of. There was, some of them were golf ball size hail, and I thought that my window was going to break, but it did actually do some damage here on the west rose window. So they are going to do some work on that. So sadly, there's going to be some scaffolding that's going to be going up here. Sometime they said it's going to start mid 2026. So they're going to take all the windows out and check them and clean them. And then on the north and the south rose windows, they're going to do the same. And then they're going to cover the outside, cover it with a piece of glass. So there's going to be a piece of clear glass in between the elements and the actual stained glass to kind of protect it a little bit longer. So that is going to be a big project that's going to come up, and it's going to be sad to see those covered up, but we, they have to do that if we want these things for a long time. They are inside. When I show you on the back, they are doing work, and I'll show you a little video of that at the end of inside, up above in the gallery above the apse in the back. They have scaffolding. It's a giant sea of scaffolding up there because they have taken out those windows as well, and they're cleaning and restoring those, which they actually took those out right after the fire because they were the closest to the flames, and so they were worried about it. So it's the work that they're doing on it might have been just because of getting dirty under the project. But you can see here, see the spire all back. That was finished in August. And then, of course, all of the fantastic statues that are back that I absolutely love. So one thing we have here, and I know I have a lot of people that are very interested in the clocks, because I've had people for the last couple years ask me, do you see the clock? What's going on with the clock? There you can see it. And finally the scaffolding is down. So you can see there's 4 clocks. They're on each, on the east and west sides of the north and south transept, so going on each side. They're still not set up to work yet, but these clocks are really amazing. And what they did is they ended up sifting, archaeologists actually sifted through the rubble of everything that had burned and come off the roof, and they found pieces of the original clocks, and then they used that to recreate these. And what's really cool about these, and I've been waiting so long to share this because I did this research about the enamel, and I just thought it was so fascinating. And it's also the same things you see in street signs of Paris and the Michelin star plaques that you see in restaurants. But it's enamel, it's actual enamel rock, enamel lava rock. And that dates back to, going back hundreds and hundreds of years to the region in the south of France where they had more than 80 extinct volcanoes. And so these erupted, you know, millions of years ago or thousands of years ago. I'm not an archaeologist or, you know, any of those things, so forgive me if I'm getting that years wrong. But it goes back to the 12th century when monks actually discovered that they could use this rock as stone. And so in the 18th century, they realized that it was a stone that you could actually enamel. So enamel is when you're putting this kind of powder on there and then you're heating it up to like insanely high degrees, and it kind of melts on there, but it attaches to the stone. And it's the only kind of stone you could do that to. You can't do that with Carrara marble. You can't do that with any other marble. You could only do it with this lava stone. So that is what the city streets signs are and everything, and that's what this clock is. So I don't know if you could I'm trying to negotiate an umbrella and not get wet at the same time on my phone. But you could kind of see, oh gosh, come on. Kind of see it right in there. Once you zoom in, it starts moving too quick. But they did not find any of the hands when they searched through everything. They didn't find any of the hands of the clock, but they did find pieces of the clock. And so I just think it's so fascinating. As you can see, they're still not working, and the bells that are attached to those clocks aren't back up in the roof either. So we're still waiting for that. But they hadn't been working actually for a while, pre-fire as well. So it'll be great when those all come back. Here's a great little view. Also, if anybody has been watching these for, you know, the years that I've been doing it, there is a statue here on the corner, and forever I was like, I don't know who it is. I can't find it in any book, but I figured it out months ago. It's Saint Marcel. And it's Saint Marcel because Saint Marcel is one of the early bishops of the church. He was the bishop that was here under one of my favorites, Saint Geneviève. And I figured it out because he's standing on a dragon, and he's the one who killed the dragon in Paris. So yes, there was a dragon in Paris in the 6th century, just right over here across the river, in case you didn't know. It's also, you know, it's raining a lot, so it's one of my favorite times to, you know, watch online as the level of the river. And right now it's gone up, but because it's going to rain so much today, tomorrow it'll be more. So, you know, follow me on Instagram to keep up with the level of the Seine and pictures and videos of it, and my markers. If you don't know, I have official markers around the city, not the statue that everybody else uses. I have other markers. But now you can see the hangers came out from underneath here. So underneath the buttresses, one of the first things they did after the fire was create these hangers, these wooden braces to slide under the buttresses there. The ones on this side came off in the summertime. Not all of them are down yet, but those are supposed to be coming down. So some of the things they're going to be doing, because all the work they're going to do now is on the exterior. So you have this little building here in front where you see the lights on. That's the presbytery. And that is, excuse me, my sniffles are bad, but that is the offices. And so that was built under Viollet-le-Duc. Same thing with the sacristy that's just right past there. That's just past the temporary building you see. And both of these were done under Viollet-le-Duc, and they have not been touched. Nothing's been done to them in 160 years. The sacristy was restored on the inside, but the outside really needs some work, and you could really see over there. We'll go on the other side so you can see a little closer, but it really does need some work done. And so that's going to be work that's going to be starting in mid 2026. So that is, that's really doesn't do anything to disrupt getting around. I'm hopefully waiting for this to open here so you could go along the side. They did install that fence back a ways. So that's telling me that they're probably gonna open this at some point. They were doing a bunch of work on the fence here the other day. And so I was hoping maybe they'd reopen this, but they did it when I came in September on that special weekend, and I got to go up, inside, and above. And I'll put some of those videos on the end of this so you could see kind of from that bird's eye view. They did have this open and you got to walk down it. It was quite exciting. But we're gonna go, instead of me trying to walk backwards in the rain, I'm gonna jump over here to the other side and rejoin it. So just as I went around the corner here is a perfect example. This is an enamel sign. And so it is definitely, it sounds more metally, but it is, these are fantastic. They last a really long time. They don't really rust. They're really fantastic, but the city of Paris is actually starting to remove some of them. And there is one woman that is very upset about this and started a petition to stop that, because it doesn't seem like they are removing them, or replacing them just, when the new ones need to be replaced are brought in. And they're actually covering some of these with the new signs that aren't made of the same lava enamel stone. So hopefully, because they're so great. There's also the numbers on the building. So those great blue squared numbers that I just actually saw one over here. But those are also the same. So those are just some of those really amazing little things that you have in Paris. Love this, look. 475th anniversary. 475 years. Can you think of many other things that have been around 475 years, except for this Grand Dome here? Kind of double that almost. But I had, this is Sunday in Paris. 7 weeks, I believe, since the heist at the Louvre. So you get an idea of what it's like on a Sunday morning. Not very many people. I am going, I think it's the week from tomorrow, to a conference again about Notre Dame, a special one I've been invited to that I can't wait to go to. So I'll hopefully get some more information on what's going on. Now up here you can see where they have, in fact, removed the windows, covered it all up. But yeah, there's just the whole upper gallery there on this side. It's just a sea of scaffolding. But this side over here, they haven't done that on the nave side. Which is nice, but also it's maybe, it does actually get pretty hot in Notre Dame. Even in the winter, because of all the people. But hopefully, maybe they'll wait until springtime to take the rose windows out. But they will do some definitely cleaning on the outside. You can see the upper part of the back where they've removed the windows. That has all of that scaffolding. The scaffolding on the back was removed about a month ago, and you can see how lovely and clean that is. Now here, you could, if I zoom in here, you could really see just how damaged, like that peak, see the peak is just really just eaten away by the weather. And so they're gonna redo the roof here, redo all the lead on there, and clean the outside. Same thing with the other building. And there used to be, before 1830, there used to be a massive palace that kind of lined around the back here. That was for the Archbishop. But that was destroyed in 1830 and 1831 twice. It was looted. The sacristy was looted. I did a video on Tuesday because it was the anniversary of the coronation of Napoleon, and last year we weren't able to go inside because it hadn't opened yet. So I made a video inside and took you into the sacristy to show you some of those pieces. So check that out. It's here on my YouTube. And that was very exciting to see the candlesticks once again. I love this time of the year because the leaves come off the trees and you can see everything. So we'll go over here to this little indent and you could see into the back a little bit better because the leaves are off of the trees. It's not too cold. It's actually supposed to be, I think, 58 degrees today. So it's actually not too cold, which is good. I don't have to navigate gloves and the umbrella, but you can really see inside here to the back. This is a whole work area. So I was able to go up above the farther white building you see there with the red. I was able to go up onto that landing and look back. It was very exciting. But they also have in there, they have like a kitchen in there. They have a huge area for the staff to eat. Of course, you have all the offices where the architects and all of the different heads of the different, departments, I guess you could call them, of the people working on site. So all of the craftsmen. But I feel like something's actually missing from here. I'll have to look back on my other pictures. I feel like there was something else right there because we could really see in through there. So I'll have to check out my pictures. But I love, before the fire, that was that little park back there, John Paul II, was those trees there are like some of the most amazing cherry blossom trees. And so you can still see those each year. But back here behind it, there was all of these pieces that had come off of Notre Dame, all of it in stone, from before. So dating back to even Viollet-le-Duc. They were kind of just stored there underneath between those two big trees to the right of the blue container. And I love to go back there and see everything. There was a fence, so you couldn't see a lot, but now you can see a good view of the roof. The statues on the roof, they were installed over a month, so from June 24th to July 24th, and it was so great. And I also did a video. The last statue to return was St. Thomas, which is the top one. I don't know if you could really see it because it's so gray, but he's the one there. Oh, I can see him in there with his elbow bent. He's the only one that's looking up at the spire. So you have the apostles and the evangelists up here. The evangelists are there at the bottom as their symbol. So you can see right there. But St. Thomas is at the top. St. Thomas is also the patron saint of architects. And the face of St. Thomas is actually Viollet-le-Duc, the architect of the restoration of the 19th century. And he's looking up at his spire that he designed. So he was the last one to be dropped in. And luckily they announced the night before saying, we're going to do this tomorrow morning at 7:30 in the morning. And I thought, I was like, well, I have to be there to see this. And I thought there'd be just dozens of people here. I know I stood right here actually with two other people, two other photographic journalists, and then somebody taking a video of it. And that was it. I couldn't believe it. It was also kind of a rainy morning. But I couldn't believe that that's all that was here to watch this monumental event. But I could not miss it. I was very excited. So those guys are all back. If you didn't know, those were all taken off the roof on April 11th, 2019, just 4 days before the fire. So a massive stroke of luck. They took those off the roof because those would have just been, destroyed. So that was very, very lucky on their part that they took those off, and they were restored pretty quickly. I saw those as soon as I think it was the spring of 2021 because of COVID. But those were already done and on display, that quickly with, adding in COVID into the scenario. So that was fantastic. But another thing that they are also working on, and I'm going to go see on Tuesday, so I will definitely get some pictures of this. It's very controversial, and it's still they're still hoping to stop this, but another thing that's going to happen by the end of 2026 is the installation of the new windows. That's just going to be there on the south nave, which is right above the white container offices. And those were the six new the chapels are going to have 6 windows, new windows done, sets of windows by Claire Tabouret. And she is a French artist, lives in, I believe, New York most of the time, but she designed new windows. And we were able to see when this was announced last year, some sketches of what those are going to look like, but they're all supposed to be on display this week at the Grand Palais. And so I'm going to go and check those out and see. So I will definitely take some pictures. I really am not for them replacing the windows because you're not supposed to take anything. It's a historic building, so it was actually stated that if it's a historic building, you cannot remove anything unless it's broken or it's, you know, a detriment to the structure of the building. And the windows there are not broken. There's nothing wrong with them. So they're not supposed to take them out. And that's why actually they're taking it to court and trying to get it stopped with the Monuments Foundation. So hopefully that doesn't happen, because they said, well, we'll take the ones out that were designed by Viollet-le-Duc and put those in the museum. That was going to be built into the Hôtel Dieu, which is a hospital right next to Notre Dame, next to the courtyard. But that's actually on hold. So we don't even know if that's going to happen or when that's going to happen. So hopefully they actually stop this and they don't actually put those windows in, but we'll see. And I will definitely keep you up to date. But, you know, they're going to do, you know, as I said, the work on the rose windows on the north and south. This is the south side that we're looking at. And then also work on the back of the towers. So they're going to be cleaning the back of the towers, doing some work there. And then what they're doing already right now is everything that's called on the bedside. They call it, so this whole back side below. And you see like the pinnacles. So you see the pinnacles that are kind of in line with each of the buttresses. Those are also going to be restored and cleaned, and some of them have to actually be re-sculpted. And I'll show you on the other side where they've already done that and how lovely and nice and clean they look. So let's go head on over to the other side. Oh, this is perfect. So here on the back side, I was going to actually show you a picture of this at the end, but it's fantastic that this is still here. So this was put up for the special weekend of September, but you could get an idea. So what is in the blue color on the right is what is going on right now. And then that kind of tealy color is what is to come. And you kind of see the pinnacles, the stained glass, the rose windows. This is great. You get a good idea of what is going on. I think they've also trimmed the top of the trees down as well. But the fence is much farther back than it used to be, or at least this fence was also covered with a wall, so you couldn't see in there. You know, you come down and look at this all the time, and then because you look at it so often, you think there's something different. But the work that they've been doing the last couple months, which is really great, is the street here. And, you know, these businesses really, really were hurt because before the fire, you had the Gilets Jaunes protests, you had a massive strike that went on for almost a month during the next Christmas. And then you had the fire, you had all of these things. So these businesses have really suffered. Now, one thing is because when you leave the church, you come out the door of the Saint Anne, which is on the south side. And here on the north side, just walking along the north, that is where the stanchions are that you walk through. So people leave and they go towards the Latin Quarter more so than come onto this side. So the businesses did say that does impact a little, but they are definitely much busier than they were before the cathedral reopened. But they've done work on this, and look at how fantastic this is. They are going to be planting on Tuesday. They're going to plant 9 trees. And I don't know if all 9 are going in at this point. There's going to be 5 on one side of the street and 4 on the other side of the street. So the other side of it is, of course, where the cathedral is. So those might be coming a little bit later, but I'll show you over here. You could actually see where the trees are going to go. And eventually they're going to put benches in here. And they wanted this all finished before the busy Christmas period, which starts the week of Christmas and until January 1st. It's like August in Paris. It's so crazy. But here, because of the trees being de-leafed, you could see back inside there a little bit better. which is great. And here's the pinnacles where you can see where they have been restored and clean and white and beautiful. And again, another clock and the statues. I mean, really for me, once the statues are returned, I was like, okay, now she's back. She's back 100% to what she was before. And, you know, she had to be, she had to be built back the way that she originally was. And again, you know, the fact that this was done in 5 years and some change is miraculous that happened. But, you know, it just shows the importance of the cathedral from everyone, from the top of the government on down to the workers, because, you know, they were pushing things through, you know, appraising projects and different commissions to get this done quickly. So hopefully they do some of that stuff when it comes to the Louvre, because the Louvre is just literally every other day we find out something about it falling apart. So it needs a little bit of the love of and attention that Notre Dame got. But you see all of the scaffolding back here. Some of the scaffolding I think is new, or maybe it's just because the trees are. But here along the way, which is really great, they redid all of this. They're going to do it so cars actually can't come down here. There was a garbage truck a few minutes ago, but eventually cars can't come drive down here, so it's all pedestrianized. So it's a little safer. Yesterday I was walking through here about 11 o'clock, and oh boy, it's a lot of people. Because I usually am, as most everybody knows, I'm out nice and early. But it's great that they've left all the signs up here showing you, you know, the different stages of the project. So we have a couple new benches here. So I'll come down this week and get a look at it with the trees in. But when I think a couple months ago, I did a video, and all this was open. They had dug up the holes, and we looked down. But here is where one of the trees will go, because we have those very famous grates that they put around the trees here. And there's another one down the ways a little bit. So that's going to be really great to have some trees planted along here, help on those hot summer months. But inside, they are the Saint Guillaume Chapel that's on the south side towards the apse, just as it starts to straighten. They have been doing some work in there. That one was really never finished, fully restored. It was always kind of gated off, and things were kind of just pushed in there. But they are redoing that, and it's going to be finishing it. And it's going to be done on the 10th, and they're adding a place in there so people can write their prayers and wishes. And which you also have, like Saint-Sulpice has that, and some other churches, so you could do that in there. Also, the painting of the Black Madonna has been restored, and that was installed in the church a few weeks ago as well. She's a patron, or she's Notre Dame of Poland, the patron. They call her the Queen, I believe. And that painting was restored. It's called the Black Madonna because she was just the original painting, which some say was painted by St. Luke on a piece of the board of the table from the Last Supper. And that painting is just so dark and dirty. That's why she's called the Black Madonna. So there was a copy that was gifted to Notre Dame from Poland just actually months before the fire, and installed. And that just was added back into the church recently, and I'll put a picture. I think I actually even took a video the other day of it. So that is really great. And in even better news, I was told that on the south side, they are actually going to maybe be putting in a few of the relics. So all the reliquaries were removed. So there's none of them in the church and in the chapels anymore. And I was told when I was here the other day that some of those will be coming back and placed on the south side. So that is really exciting because I love all of those. They do have to be very careful these days. Churches do, and also, of course, museums, because just like with the heist in the Louvre, the price of gold is crazy. It's, an incredible high. And so churches are, they have a lot of those reliquaries, and a lot of them are done in gold. And so that is, and churches are wide open. So it's a huge point, and fear of things being stolen. So that is also why a lot of the reliquaries in churches have kind of been moved. And their security, this, of course, Notre Dame has a lot of security, but I'm really excited that some of those get a return, and because they don't have any of them on view. So I can't wait to see when that happens. Also, in very exciting news, if you're coming to Paris, definitely plan. They have just announced the other day that every Friday from 3 to 6 p.m. 3 to 6 p.m. 6:30 p.m. the Crown of Thorns is going to come out. So every Friday at 3 p.m. they will venerate the Crown of Thorns. They will do that up at the altar, and then they will place it in the back reliquary that's at the very far end of the church and in line with the high altar and the entrance of the church. So that is very exciting. So if you are coming and you've always wanted to see that, and it used to just be the first Friday of the month and every Friday of Lent, it's now going to be every single Friday from 3 to 6:30. Now, if you haven't, I have done some episodes about the history of the Crown of Thorns. It's fascinating. I'm obsessed with the history of the Crown of Thorns and finding it in paintings and in art. But the rules of the Crown of Thorns and the veneration, the Mass, was actually all designed by Saint Louis. And so having it out only on the first Friday of the month and the Fridays of Lent is what Saint Louis, is how he did it. So I don't think anybody checked with him. I mean, he died in the 13th century, but it is pretty great. So more people could see it if you haven't been here to see it. Even if you're not religious, the first time I saw it, I just kind of was blown away, and I was a ways away from it. I couldn't believe, it's just a monumental piece of history. So if you don't have religious leanings, or you have problems with religious leanings, it's still a pretty amazing thing to see, and it's beautiful. It's in this gorgeous kind of circle of cut crystal, and it has Limoges enamel on it, and it has all like stones on it. It's really amazing. So it's going to be cool that it comes out. I would love it if someday if they ever brought out they have one of the nails. Hey buddy, you're not supposed to go down there. One of the nail that they have that was used, and then also a piece of the true cross, but they actually never bring those out. I was shown a picture of them, but they don't ever bring those out for some reason. But if they do, I will be here to see it. So that is a little update on everything that is going on here. And make sure you are also following me on Instagram or Facebook. Also the podcast, but we are going to actually announce it tomorrow on the podcast. But I am changing some things, and I am going to be starting a new podcast that I will do that's going to be based also on my kind of name, my brand name, Bleu Blanc Rouge. And this way I could talk about other fascinating, fantastic things in Paris and history and art, and then also have a few of my friends on as well. So I will have some people that are in the art world and historians and writers, and so I'm really excited. So it's the first time I'm announcing that is here, so you get a little sneaky peeky of that. And that will I'll have episodes starting in January. So I'm also going to take a little bit of a break from that. So there's a lot of exciting things coming up this year, and also trying to streamline some things, and even try to do some things with the podcast that maybe be more visual, and also doing more things here on YouTube, and maybe even combining them. So definitely check that out. And if there's something that you want to know more about and feature on the podcast, send me a message or just post a comment here and let me know. So there you go. Happy anniversary to this beautiful lady. So excited. And also, if you came in the last year, let me know in the comments if you came and what was your favorite thing inside there, because I'll never forget the first time I came back in there. But it is really great. It's great that some things are been added. We're still waiting for things. There's still a few paintings that still have not returned to the cathedral, so I'm hoping those come sometime this year, and I'll be all over it, on top of it. And there she is. And I will see you all very soon, and make sure get the newsletter, all those good things, and I will talk to you soon. A few things have been added back into the chapels. It's very exciting that this painting returned after being restored just a few weeks ago. It's called the Black Madonna. Back into the chapel. Right now they are working on restoring all of the windows up here. So there's a huge sea of scaffolding. And then they're also going to be doing this to the rose windows. So the rose windows, probably most likely in the spring or summer, they're going to start to take those each one of them out and clean and restore them, because they've been damaged by the weather, not by the fire, but definitely by weather over the years. They've cleaned them all out, and then they're going to put what they call a glass ceiling on it. So basically just covering the outside with clear glass to protect them a little. And it's the first week of Advent, so we have our Advent wreath over there.